From the treetop ride that crashed and killed a 20-year-old student to the Superman Tower of Power ride that cut the feet off a 13-year-old girl, and to a 12-year-old boy that slipped out of the safety harness and fell from the ride. Today we'll be looking at 20 amusement park rides that killed people. Let's get started. Number 20, Terminal Velocity in Lake Delton, Wisconsin. A 12-year-old girl decided to take a leap due to faith and hopped on the Terminal Velocity ride at Extreme World, an amusement park in Wisconsin Dells. The ride was exciting, and it worked by throwing passengers into a net from a whopping height of 140 feet without any gear. Horrifyingly, the operator mistakenly released her with no catch in place, and she got herself injured as she fell directly onto the concrete platform, breaking her bones into pieces. Number 19, The Ride of Steel, Darien, New York. 29-year-old James Hackemer fell from the Ride of Steel at a Six Flags park in New York and lost his life. He was a veteran and both of his legs amputated during a war with Iraq. His lap belt was not bound, and he was launched out of the ride. After investigation, the officials said it was an operational error, and a person like James should not have been allowed for the ride in the first place. Number 18, The Matterhorn in Anaheim, California. A 48-year-old woman was tossed from one of the Matterhorn bobsled cars. She was hit by the following bobsled, resulting in instant death. After this devastating accident, the investigators said that the safety belts were not accurately buckled, which ultimately ended in the passenger losing her life. This incident is an eye-opener for everyone and gives us a glimpse of how easily these riders can take a fatal turn. Number 17, Sailing Ship Columbia in Anaheim, California. This incident is the first Disneyland accident wherein the victim was not even partly a reason for the happenings. A large metal strip fell off from the side of the ride called the Sailing Ship Columbia. This metal strip went on and injured 2 visitors at Disneyland and a Disney cast member. One of the victims, a 33-year-old woman, was severely injured and later died in the ICU. Number 16, Extreme in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Lindsay Zana went on to visit the Blue Bayou Water Park, Dixieland and Amusement Park. She went on to try a ride called the Extreme Coaster, which was actively working on for 3 years. After around 3 minutes, what could be seen was the lady falling from a 30 feet tall coaster, and later she died of injuries caused due to the accident. After the accident, the ride was permanently closed. Number 15, Aksari Amusement Park in Karachi, Pakistan. The accident took place sometime back in July 15, 2018, at an amusement park in Karachi. This is a ride that swung passengers back and forth from a giant pendulum. The pendulum broke down in the middle of the ride, injured more than 25 people, and killed a 12-year-old. It was after 6 months that the park authorities dared to reopen the park. Number 14, Raging River in Altoona, Iowa. Water rides may seem less risky than high-speed coasters, but it poses other dangers. At Adventureland in Altoona, Iowa, a ride called Raging Rivers demonstrated how terrifying getting your feet wet can be. On July 3, 2021, one of the rafts on the ride overturned with 6 passengers aboard. 4 were severely injured, and an 11-year-old boy later succumbed to his injuries. Following the tragic incident, the Raging River ride was temporarily closed. Number 13, Top Scan in East Farmingdale, New York. On August 31, 2005, a 45-year-old mentally disabled woman visited the Adventureland amusement park in New York. She got onto the Top Scan ride, taking passengers on a spinning ride in 6 free rotating gondolas. Sadly, the woman's safety harness broke in between the ride, and she was thrown away from the ride. The woman then fell on a car parked nearby and died tragically. After the incident, the ride was never functional. Number 12, La Feria de Chapultepec Amusement Park in Mexico City. On September 28, 2019, the city of Mexico paid witness to one of the most terrifying amusement park accidents in the world. The last train broke loose from the track and crashed to the ground 30 feet below. There were 10 passengers on the train, of which 2 of them died instantly, and the rest were hospitalized with other serious injuries. The amusement park was then closed permanently. Number 11, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad in Anaheim, California. Due to quite a list of features the place has to offer that excites the kids, it has remained its name as the happiest place. Yes, we don't hear a lot about accidents in Disneyland, but yes, this accident is one to remember. In September 2003, one man died and 10 people were injured while riding the park's popular Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. The open passenger train cars separated from each other, which caused the accident. Number 10. Verrückt Water Slide in Kansas City. This incident is indeed heart-stopping, so take this as a warning. In August 2016, a 10-year-old boy tragically died while visiting the water park in Kansas City. He was riding the Verrückt, a 168-foot-tall water slide, the tallest in the world. The boy was decapitated when the raft he was riding went airborne, causing him to strike a metal rod used to hold a safety net in place. 2 other passengers in the same raft also suffered injuries. Number 9. Thunder River Rapids in Queensland, Australia. The most famous theme park in Australia was meant to mimic the exhilarating thrill of whitewater rafting. But in 2016, things took a turn for the chilling when 2 rafts collided, causing one to flip over and trap the passengers it was carrying. 4 people died in the accident, though fortunately, 2 young children riding in the raft somehow managed to free themselves and escape. The entire theme park was temporarily shut down. Number 8. Texas Giant in Arlington. This ride is still operational even after the tragic accident that happened at the park. A 52-year-old woman went on to try the hybrid roller coaster ride, but her initial excitement didn't last too long. When the roller coaster passed through a deep descent, the woman was thrown out of the ride. She hit on a steel rod and then later died due to her injuries. No mechanical errors were found, so the ride is still open for visitors. Number 7. Tsunami in Motherwell, Scotland. Just like the name suggests, a ride is indeed a blaster. As 5 gondolas on the Tsunami roller coaster came around a corner, they detached from the ride's rails and fell to the ground, striking the ride's infrastructure on the way down. Surprisingly, no one was killed, but 9 passengers were injured. The ride was then dismantled a couple of months after the accident. The ride was Scotland's only inverted roller coaster. Number 6. King's Crown in Omaha, Nebraska. This is another horrifying accident that took place in history. At the Cinco de Mayo festival in Omaha, an 11-year-old girl's hair got caught in the ride's machinery. The family says she spun around, attached by her hair for several minutes until her scalp pulled away from her head. This one may have genuinely been a freak accident. The girl is alive and getting back to everyday life. Number 5. Wild Wonder in Ocean City, New Jersey. As the coaster was drawn up the tracks, the drag chain released the cars prematurely, sending the vehicles flying backward. An anti-rollback emergency brake device also malfunctioned, so the car just kept rolling. Though the car itself stayed on the tracks, the force of the drop sent the passengers, a mother and her 8-year-old daughter, into the air, killing them both. Yes, have you ever heard of 2 security systems malfunctioning at the same time? Number 4. Roller coaster in Farmington, Utah. A 20-year-old and a 13-year-old died from being thrown from a roller coaster in an attempt to stand up. It was indeed a horrific incident. A maintenance worker was killed in 1946 after he was struck while working on scaffolding on the coaster. And yes, if you are courageous enough, surprisingly, the ride is still open for passengers. Believe it or not, you can still ride the historic coaster today. Number 3. Drop Zone in Santa Clara, California. A 12-year-old boy died after he somehow slipped out of the safety harness and fell from the ride. After getting strapped to the chair, you were taken to a height and then released from a height of about 224 feet. Despite a robust and lengthy investigation, it's not clear what caused the accident. The ride remains in operation at the theme park today, though Great America did end up installing a safety strap on it. Number 2. Superman Tower of Power in Louisville, Kentucky. If you are a gentle-hearted person, this can be a potential disturbance. While riding a freefall ride called the Superman Tower of Power at Six Flags in 2007, a 13-year-old girl suffered a freak accident that resulted in her feet being cut off. A cord got wrapped around her feet, which severed them from her legs at the ankles. The doctors immediately reattached one foot but were forced to amputate the other leg below the knee. Number 1. The Treetop Twister in Ripon, England. The last one on our list is the Treetop Twister in Ripon. The spinning ride took passengers through various tight turns and twists when 2 carriages on the coaster collided, resulting in the death of a 20-year-old university student. 3 men were also injured in the accident. Faulty wiring, worn-out wheels, improper training, and ride's operator's actions reportedly caused the crash. And astonishingly, the ride is still available for riders. Ready to watch another fun video? Click the video on screen now or the one linked below.